Hello Marvel Legends fans, this is Solid Dave Snake, bringing you my first review on the newly released Avengers Marvel Legends Infinite Series Build-A-Figure The All-Father Wave. And for this first review out of the series, I thought it would be fitting to review one of the main cast members of the Avengers, and that is Marvel Now's Thor we'll be taking a look at. And this figure is basically a lot like Hasbro's first outing with Thor a couple years back when they did the Return to Marvel Legends. It is basically a lot like this Thor. It uses a lot of the same parts. The big differences being a different overall paint job and a new head sculpt and new arms. But besides that, the torso is exactly the same. The legs are the same. The cape is the same. The hammer is the same. Although the new Thor does come with a extra accessory, this big sword he has. But besides that, they are pretty much identical. I'll get them in a little closer here so you can take a look at the differences with the actual heads and arms. He's, of course, got the helmet he wears now in the comic books with this new one, which has a more gladiator type look to it almost, where this old one has the white wings on it. A lot more of a chiseled face on this Marvel Now Thor. And of course on the arms, the Marvel Now Thor is sleeveless, where the old one has this kind of armor on. So those are the big differences between the two, but I think there's even a little bit of a paint difference on the hammers. Yeah, the older one has a little more of a black wash to it. And the articulation is the same on both these figures as well. But I'll get the old one out of the way and give you a closer look at this Thor. And the Build-A-Figure piece that this Thor comes with is the right leg for your Build-A-Figure. Now, I don't know if I will be building this Build-A-Figure because I am not going to be picking up the whole series. I'm just kind of picking and choosing which figures I wanted out of this series because I didn't want them all, but I did want to build up my Marvel Now Avengers, so this Thor was a must pick up for me. But I thought they really did a good job with this. I think he looks a lot like his comic book counterpart. I will pull his hammer out here, give you a closer look at it. Now, I thought that this loop on the hammer could fit on this part of the belt to kind of store it to the side, but for the life of me, it feels like it's going to break when I try to pull this out. So, if you know if you can take this out and fit this around the loop, please leave a comment below and let me know. But then we have the big sword too, which doesn't have a whole lot of paint variation here. I actually think this is just the color of the plastic, the blade, but the handle is painted brown. And that's a nice sword. I really think that turned out well and is a nice accessory for Thor. But all in all, there's not too much to go over that you haven't seen with that last Thor. I really like what they did with the arms here, having the veins going throughout. They really did a great job with that arm sculpt. His arms really do look big. And his hands are basically the same as that previous Thor's, although they have the paint on here to make it look like gloves, but it would have been better to be sculpted on there because once you get close to it, it doesn't really look like a glove. You can tell it's just painted on there. And of course he has that overall dark blue design throughout. color variation on the legs between black and silver. His cape's exactly the same, but I like how it turned out. They did a little more, added a little more black to this cape than the previous Thors, which goes well with his coloring. I also like that cloth coming down on the back of the helmet. Really looks good. And like I said, articulation wise, he is the same as that previous Thor, but we have a ball joint for the head, which you can't really get to look down and back because of the way that this cloth is on the back, but you can get rotation from side to side, just not all the way around because of that cloth. On the shoulders, he's got a ball joint and a hinge, which will go up that far and rotate forward and back, being restricted from the cape. He can swivel at the elbows and has a hinge to get that far of a bend up and back straight, and a swivel and hinge at the wrist, which will go that far down and that far up. He's got this ball joint here at the chest, which will go down and back. Well, it's more the abs, kind of like an ab crunch. And at the hips, he's got a ball joint and a hinge, which will kick that far out and all the way back down and kick out only about that far and back. And he does have a swivel there as well. And he has double jointed knees, but I always thought it looked weird on that older Thor with the way they have this piece here for whenever you bend it up. But he does have the double jointed knees. Although he has no ankle pivot. All he has at the feet is the swivel and hinge, which will go that far up and that far down. So he still is missing that ankle pivot. But all in all, I would say this is a nice Thor, and if you're trying to build up your Marvel Now Avengers, he is a must-have. So, alright guys, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. My next review will be on Marvel's Hawkeye.